Okay. Dan, you'll just have to be quick setting up.
Oh,
You've done already?
I'm sort of ready.
Okay.
Right, Elton
I'm out of the way.
Elton would like me to show some magic that his team put together. Now, everything you've just heard about fits what I'm really interested in. People who know me in the room know that I'm very interested in open data, citizen science, linked open data. Well, anything to do with digital technologies and museums, really, and heritage. I want us to be able to use things freely and openly. There's some people in this room we haven't mentioned yet. I don't want to take Gethin's thunder. Now, Gethin is presenting about Peripleo later about the work that the British Library did. You'll come back on Teams for that, I think, aren't you, rather than being here in person? Is the plan. So I'm going to give a little demo of what this platform can do and why we can use it. Now, we've got some great minds in this room who build this stuff. I just stand on their shoulders, basically. I use the tools and I make them do what I want them to do. That's sort of what Elton says he does as well. Elton pretends that you can't do anything with technology, and he'll keep saying this. Elton can do stuff, but he'll pretend to be an engineer. Just carry on. But let's think about everyone in this room can use these tools we're going to talk about now. Now, Gethin, you put this together with Ryan and Simon, who's also not here, a couple of years ago now. And I saw Gethin tinker around on GitHub, and I thought that tool could be really useful for what I want to do. I hadn't actually heard about what they were doing. And I got it up and running in about half an hour, the thing I wanted to do. Elton mentioned that we had a workshop with the Fitzwilliam. It was 2 days before the pandemic hit. So we had a research network, the Arts and Humanities Research Council funding, that was meant to be about face-to-face meetings overseas in America. Now, that didn't really happen, did it, for anyone? So we had 5 extensions and didn't get anywhere. We never went to America. We got some Americans come to us. They went home with COVID. They weren't very happy with us.
Not from us. They got on planes then.
Well, no, they thought they got the pub we went to afterwards. It's very, very close. So this is Peripleo. This is the platform that Elton and others have been putting together over time. And this is the example from Fitzwilliam Museum. Now, if you haven't been to Fitzwilliam Museum, it's a museum in Cambridge. It thinks it's grander than it really is. It's quite a large collection. It's got an antiquities collection, but it's really badly documented. It's got objects in it that say coin. Hasn't been updated for 50 years. Must update. No coordinates. What can I do with that? Not very much. So you filter those things out. But some stuff is really easy to play with. So you've got place, you've got time, you've got person that goes with it. All the stuff that Elton's talked about, annotations. So what we did was took the data out of that and played with it and got it into a geographical format using the stuff that Carl had. So using linked places format. That goes on to this mapping format, which you're going to see in a second. Now, most of you know that web mapping tools are ArcView for the main sort of players. So I've got historian colleagues at the back who use ArcView all the time. Now, when you leave academia or jobs, do you have access to that very easily? Quite often, no. It's a very heavyweight stack. We'd like everyone to be able to use this stuff. And this runs on GitHub pages, so it's free and open source. Unlike ArcView, it's proprietary, so it's got constraints around it. Quite often, software tools don't have a very good tour about how to use them as well. So I'm going to do the tour just so you can see how it works. I'd usually ignore this, just go straight into it and play. So as it says, your journey starts here. You're looking for something on a map. You're always looking for something. X marks the spot. If you're watching Indiana Jones, bad archaeologists, everyone knows now. You click the spyglass button to enter a text search, load map data. Or you click the filter button, and then it brings up different colours depending on what the object's type's going to be. Now, this can be quite problematic in the museum world as well. Who works in the museum here? A few people. Rebecca, for instance, Andrew. You'll go through collection catalogue and you'll see coin, question mark, spear, question mark, spear possibly, spear with a capital, spear without a capital, spear spelled incorrectly. So you've got to do lots of data cleaning to get to the point where this becomes usable. And this is for everywhere as well. So once you go to the filter button, you get those filters come up. There's a filter panel. I'm really sorry, Gethin, we're going to take anything away from what you're doing later, but I think we can reiterate everything we talked about today because people want to learn, see how it can be put into practice. So we've got facets, categories in this case. So one of the things Elton and I've talked about regularly is that in America, lots of software has been funded, little modular stuff by Night Timeline and things like that. But it's been really good for building websites and putting them all together. And at the moment, we go for quite behemoth type software solutions that try to do everything, but never really deliver very well in the cultural sector. So you see lots of failed projects. We've got a littered landscape of failed projects in the cultural sector, right going back to sort of national programs online or timeline map that we ended years and years ago. And quite often, those things haven't got legacy. These things are quite distributed as well. So lots of people have been working on them, and it all comes together as an open source community. I think we've got opportunity to share what we're doing with other people and make it better. So we had a presentation last week in Knossos, I can't really talk about for Andrew, but the people who are there have been using this software, been adapting it for their own use as well. But that was really nice to see that they're taking what Gethin had commissioned, but adapted to what they wanted it to do. But they want to give that back to the community when they get a chance as well. So that's what your aim was, wasn't it? So you put it out there and you ask people to work on it. At least that. Imagine me when I started thinking about what link data could do for archaeology and for heritage. And you're working on this as well, Phil, constantly at the moment, link data and how it could be going. And I think we're still searching for a really good end solution, but we're getting there. We're starting to now see things like Wikipedia data. Getting, I think you're going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the
You might need to speak up because you have the back, and I'm not sure if the people online are.
yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
From the user perspective, from the user perspective, Peripleo was designed to present a range of web pages to the user. So in the cultural heritage sector, and certainly at the British Library where I work, we have a long, well, if they were available following the cyber attack, when they become available following our cyber attack, we have a long tail of web pages that are not used. And when people come to a text search box, they will type into that box something that they might have in their head, but that might not relate to many of those web pages. And so what Peripleo does is present points on the map, each that represent one or more web pages, so that people can have that overview and can have a different set of ways into a collection. And so that discovery use case was what Peripleo was specifically about. A lot of times you see web maps online and it's not absolutely clear what you're supposed to do with them, I would say. And so what we were trying to facilitate is that specific user journey.
Could you actually say what you do as a job at the British Library? And commiserations about the cyber attack, we're all behind you and getting that back. But what do you do? Because you work with maps. So,
I'm lead curator for digital maps at the British Library. So we work with GIS data and the archiving of GIS data and the presentation of GIS data, but also I'm interested in the geography of the collections of library.
Thank you. So I'm Patricia Murrieta Flores. I'm professor in digital humanities at Lancaster University. One of the things that we are very interested, we have been obviously contributing, but also following the project for a very long time. But we work quite a lot with indigenous communities back in Latin America. And so we are aiming to work with you on the implementation of CARE principles. So this is collective benefit, authority control, responsibility, and ethics, and how we can basically think as well of indigenous data governance within this kind of framework. Basically, because many of the documents that we work with, both in academia, but also within the indigenous communities, are documents that are what we call lead documents. This is to say that they have all sorts of implications for legal governance, for instance,
implemented in the interface. So what do you do if you do have a data set that is rich in those fuzzy time spans and so forth that are integrated with the place? That is to be determined. This is a future goal for many of these platforms, including WHG.
I think also when you think about maps, people think maps are easy to use as well. And a lot of map interfaces online are quite overwhelming. And I live in Tring in Hertfordshire, and there's lots of children out walking on cheap renters. They cannot use a map quite often. They've got it back to front, or their coordinates are in the wrong place. And I think we just assume people can use a map straight off, don't we? And that they can work out what they're going to do. And I think that goes to our Historic England resources quite often. If you put stuff online and go, you should be able to use it just straight off. And I think that's one thing that Gethin commissioned really well, about making it a tutorial about how to use that data. I think we're on time, aren't we?
Yeah, we're absolutely on time. Keep going, keep going.
So I've got to do a provocation bit a bit later about where we're going. But I think the questions you're asking are really useful. So we've got anything else in the chat at the moment? So we've got Mads has asked that's a question about that. Speculative archive type things as well. There is definitely potential to do speculative archive type things. You want a quick look through chat, but you ad lib for a bit and I'll have a quick look.
Well, I only just to actually come back to the first question, which I think you had a much better answer to. And just to emphasize, I think one reason for having this workshop, well, certainly one core reason for the Pelagios network to exist is that we have these discussions in the round and the methods and tools get developed in the round. So this is to address two major challenges, I guess, in the digital world more generally, not just digital humanities, digital culture. That is, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's not keep developing different annotation tools or different mapping interfaces if there are ways in which we can actually reuse and develop. And the second is sustainability, which of course is a big issue too.